What advice would you give to firms that are struggling here with efficiency and post-settlement work? Do you have any final thoughts that you would want to leave them with before they join our webinar, of course?
Yeah. The advice I most often give to firms is to try to quantify the pain, right? Take a hard look at how many non-billable hours your team, from paralegals to partners, spends managing or approving distributions and chasing down commission detail. Think about the strategic cost of that distraction, right? The technology to solve this exists right now. And implementing that technology is a strategic shift that allows your legal talent to focus on winning cases for clients and generating revenue for the firm.
Welcome, everybody, to our podcast today. I am very, very excited about today's guest. My name is Krista Garren. I am the Business Development Manager here at Practice AI, so all things sales and partnerships run through me. And I'm very, very privileged to be joined by Ben Raslavich from Settlement Streams today. So Ben is the CEO and founder, and Settlement Streams is a legal tech platform, which I think is transforming the way law firms are tracking, managing, and distributing settlement funds. So he has a background that spans both litigation finance and legal operations, and he brings a very unique perspective to solving one of the most overlooked pain points in the legal process, and that is what happens after the case settles. So Ben, I'd love to just turn it over to you really quick and have you just introduce yourself to our audience.
Absolutely. Thank you, Krista. It's great to be here. I think you've set the stage perfectly. This is part of the legal process that's been overlooked, in my opinion, for far too long. I'm excited to dive into how we're working to solve it. As you mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of the Settlement Streams platform. I'm also a law firm owner, been a founder and managing partner of Ben Raslavich for just over 9 years now. We're a plaintiff's firm focused on representing policyholders in property insurance disputes. We have offices in Florida, Colorado, and North Carolina, and somewhat of a high volume practice with, fortunately, a lot of cases moving through that settlement process. And the Settlement Streams application was designed to relieve some of the pain points associated with that process. So very excited to be here today and looking forward to discussing that.
Awesome. Thank you. So, all right. So before we jump in, let's kick off with something that most people don't know about you, but that plays a big role in how you're approaching innovation and legal tech. Can you give us that one thing?
Well, I think it's that firsthand experience. Like I said, this pain point that our platform is designed to solve is one we experienced firsthand in my law firm, and we developed it in-house with the goal of reducing administrative hours, increasing time we have to work on prosecuting and hopefully winning and resolving our clients' cases. And I think that built by lawyers for lawyers aspect of the platform is something that separates us from other legal tech in this space.
I would 100% have to agree with you. And I think that was something that really stood out for me when we first met and connected and started talking about potential partnership between Settlement Streams and Practice AI. So I think that's one of the things I'm most excited to kind of announce today is that Practice AI is going into partnership with Settlement Streams. Do you want to talk a little bit about that before we jump into Settlement Streams itself?
Yes, absolutely. We are incredibly excited about this partnership. At Settlement Streams, our entire focus is on perfecting the post-settlement financial management process for law firms. We handle everything that happens after the case has resolved. Practice AI excels at streamlining the work that gets affirmed to that settlement, the demand letters, the document management. So by joining forces, we're creating a powerful end-to-end solution that takes a law firm from initial case intake all the way to final distribution and commission payouts. And we're making it faster and smarter than ever before, I think, which is the most exciting part about this partnership.
And I am actually really, really excited to announce that our first webinar is actually going to be hosting you as a guest speaker on July 23rd to come in and give us a firsthand look at settlement streams. So you guys are going to want to stay tuned to the end of this podcast and also check the section for About down below so that you can get links to register and sign up because you're not going to want to miss it. So Ben, from your point of view, talk to me a little bit about technology, AI and non-AI, and how you've seen that really start to make an impact in the legal field, especially in post-settlement workflows.
Yeah, so I think the impact has been transformative, right? I mean, historically, the post-settlement space has been dominated by manual processes, right? Literally like spreadsheets and calculators. So the biggest shift we're seeing is the move towards dedicated, secure platforms that are purpose-built for the unique financial workflows of law firms. It's about moving from a reactive, error-prone, if we're being honest, process to a proactive, automated, and more transparent process, right? It's not just about doing things faster, which it does do, but it's about accuracy, security, providing that real-time visibility into a firm's financial health on a case-by-case basis, but also on a lawyer-by-lawyer basis and an office-by-office basis. So really breaking down and digging into the metrics that are going to drive a firm towards being as profitable as possible and as efficient as possible.
It seems like, just from what you just mentioned, that there's going to be a lot of moving parts to that. So from where I'm sitting and just what I've seen of the platform, I feel like what you've done with settlement streams is really zero in on a moment that I think a lot of firms, especially, I mean, whether you're starting out or whether you're trying to scale, at that moment that firms are going to find really challenging, which is not only the distribution, but tracking the actual earnings. So can you talk to us a little bit about why that phase is, so often challenging for firms?
Yes. Well, I think it's really a perfect storm of complexity and consequence. You're dealing with an intricate web of distribution. There's the client recovery, there's the lien holders, there's third-party payees, you have case costs, and of course you have the firm's revenue and the individual commissions for each attorney. And on top of that, every firm has its own unique commission structures, right? Maybe it's percentage-based, maybe there are performance thresholds or different rates for originating versus handling attorneys. So when you're trying to manage all of that manually, it's not just time consuming, but it presents a lot of risk, right? So one mistake could lead to payment delays, unhappy attorneys, unhappy clients, a lack of clarity on the firm's actual profit margin. When you don't have these metrics broken down and readily accessible to the members of the firm, it makes things all the more challenging and, like I said, poses potential risk for mistakes.
So you just listed off some really big, I think, real world consequences of having a process that is not completely dialed in. When you talk to firms, what are you finding? And that's firms, of course, that are not already working with settlement streams. When you're looking at their processes, what are you finding that they're doing that oftentimes is leading to those consequences? Is it the tools that they're using or the system that they have or kind of a combination of all of it?
Yes, I think it's a lack of the appropriate tools, the appropriate processes in place to standardize the tracking and reporting on the metrics. And as you mentioned, the consequences are enormous. I mean, there's lost revenue, there's lost time, potentially lost client trust, or even lost clients, but the most immediate consequence, and I think one that firms tend to have the easiest time realizing when you start to look at this issue, is the hundreds of hours on an annual basis spent on administrative reconciliation instead of actual client work. There's the financial risk from errors in calculations, but the hidden costs can be even greater. Right? When attorneys face delays in receiving their commissions, it can breed frustration. It can impact morale within the firm. It can lead to costly turnover. So a lack of clear, immediate visibility into case costs versus revenue versus commission, it creates a situation where it's difficult for the firm leadership to make smart business decisions. Right. And if you can't make smart business decisions, you can't grow your firm.
Oh my gosh, that's so pertinent. And actually, I think that's true no matter what business you're in, even if you're not a lawyer and you're not inside of a law practice. I think you have to have really good line of sight to your data. You've got to have really good, clean data. So would you be able to share with us, and of course we can leave firm names out, but can you share with us just a brief like use case of where you've gone in and how you've actually helped a firm turn around from manual, inefficient processes to implementing settlement streams, and then, what the result has been for them, I would say, over the short term and then over the long term, because I know I'm really interested to hear about what that process looks like.
Absolutely. So we had one of our first firms that we had join our platform. It joined it, even when we were still in kind of the beta testing mode, because they were so eager to put their data into our platform to see what kind of information they could glean from it, what kind of reporting they could get, and how they could use that in their practice. They were struggling with two problems, really. They would have lawyers at the firm approach them and wanting to renegotiate compensation structures, right? And they would have a very difficult time trying to figure out that attorney's worth to the firm on a dollar by dollar basis, right? What is our profit margin on cases that this lawyer is handling? And what can we justify in terms of an increase in compensation that will make sense for both the lawyer in terms of attracting and retaining that talent, but also the firm, to make sure that this is in the firm's best interest and moving forward, and is going to allow them, again, to continue to grow. And they had this similar problem with referral sources. Okay, so how much time and effort and money do we invest into certain referral sources? Well, I think that comes down to how much money the firm is making off of the cases that are being referred by that source. So when you have a platform like Settlement Streams, where you can report on all of these metrics in any combination over any period of time, then you have that information that allows you to make the smart business decision, right? To say to the lawyer, okay, you've earned an increase in compensation because we see what you've done is good for the business, and we can afford to compensate you more because it's just going to result in more revenue and more profit for the firm. Or you can say, look, you're not covering your overhead. Maybe you haven't earned that increase in compensation. It doesn't necessarily have to be a harsh response. You can say, this is where you need to be in order to justify what you're asking for. And then when it comes time for, marketing and budgeting for those events geared towards, attracting more referral sources and rewarding the referral sources that have been good to you, where your dollars are best.
I think that's really valuable information. Have you had any firms that actually thought that they were in a much better position with this than they were when they got onto the platform, and were surprised by what the data showed with what they had been doing? Because it seems to me like you would run into that. You would see that.
We have, and it can be very eye-opening and enlightening. I like to think of the administrative dashboard on the Settlement Streams platform as the firm's report card, right? You can see exactly, how much you're making in revenue on a month, week, quarter, annual basis, but you can also see what you've been collecting, right? So when we're plaintiffs' firms working on a contingency basis, the case settles, that's great, but you can't take that settlement confirmation email down to the bank, cash it, and make payroll. It doesn't work like that, right? You've got to get everything figured out to get that money into your operating account, right? So if you've settled, 100 cases in the last month, but 98 of them remain outstanding, that tells me that, you really only deposited 2 cases into your operating account. So while you might think, okay, the settlement emails are coming through, we're doing great. Well, if people are losing track of what happens after that confirmation email and the notice of settlement is filed, then you could be in a dire position and not even know it, because you have that bottleneck that's not being addressed.
That could be a really big reveal. I imagine too, once they get into the platform and they're getting everything organized, after we cycle through and it's time to file taxes, that all that data is so much cleaner and easier to get to in terms of what they spent versus what they earned. And so potentially your accountant should be a lot happier as well, I would think, with the data that you're feeding them. Are you seeing that too?
No question. And you know who else is very happy when you have that data readily accessible is if you're looking for a line of credit, if you're looking for a loan, maybe you want to buy an office, maybe you want to borrow against your receivables to invest in equipment or in marketing or in software upgrades. Those things, if you don't have a pulse on what you can expect to collect from your settlement pipeline, then the lenders are going to be very hesitant to work with you without, eyes on those accounts receivable.
Ben, some of the companies and firms that I've had an opportunity to work with in my career, I see that they're either usually good at working in the business or on the business, but rarely do I see people, process, or software that seems to address both sides. But I feel like Settlement Streams is doing both in this case. You're down in the weeds and you're working in the business of exactly what's going on, but you're also helping to present a holistic view, and you're working on the business, as you say, so that the business can actually scale up as a business. Because there's everything I would imagine you do as an attorney, and then there's all the things that you do to actually propel the business forward. To me, this is kind of like the glue that sort of pulls those pieces together and says you're viable and you have options and therefore you have opportunity. Would you classify Settlement Streams that way too?
100%. I mean, the role-based permission settings that we have within the platform are designed for, just as you described, those working on the business and those working in the business. We have access levels from managing partner down to paralegal. So we have the paralegals can log in and see where the cases they're responsible for are in the settlement process, what's holding them up, what can be done to push them from deal to deposit. And then we have the high level reporting for the managing partner. So they can see, again, on a case by case basis, attorney by attorney basis, office by office, referral source by referral source, where are our best cases coming from and who are our top performers.
I'm so excited that we get to present this to our existing client base because we have a lot of paralegals. We have a lot of case managers on the PAI platform that I think are just going to be really amazed when they get a chance to see what we've already gotten a chance to see because you demoed the platform for us. It looks so amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about this upcoming webinar that we're going to do on July 23rd. Can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek into what everybody who's attending is going to learn and come away with?
Absolutely. So the webinar on July 23rd is going to be fantastic. It's going to be a practical session. We're going to move beyond the talking points. We're going to do a live walkthrough of the platform. Attendees are going to see firsthand how a settlement is entered, how different payee and commission structures are handled, how the reports and the dashboards provide that instant visibility that I think is crucial and that I look at every day in my practice. We're going to demonstrate how the platform transforms that chaotic spreadsheet-driven process into a more streamlined, accurate, and controlled workflow. And we're going to dive into how a business model centered around commission-based compensation can fast-track law firm growth. And I think that's really going to be a great takeaway from the webinar on July 23rd.
Well, and in fact, when we were first talking about planning for this session, you really felt like this last piece was one of the most important pieces. Even over and above, getting the software in itself, was that they have an understanding of what that process looked like. And then the software and the platform becomes a part of that total overall solution. So I'm excited to have you dive kind of more into that area for us when we get together on the 23rd. If you were looking to tell everybody who's potentially watching and listening who should be attending this session, who would we really be looking for to come on board and join us on July 23rd?
It's certainly firm owners, managing partners, COOs, firm controllers, administrators. I would say that it would absolutely be beneficial for them to attend. And honestly, any attorney who wants to understand how they can get paid faster with more transparency, I think would also find it valuable. Those who are wondering about the best way to structure attorney compensation within their law firm, I think can learn a lot from what we're going to discuss on the 23rd. I think the key benefit is going to be to seeing a clear, actionable path to reclaiming those administrative hours, to eliminating potentially costly errors, and gaining unprecedented insight into your firm's financial performance.
Excellent. I'm so excited for that. I want to skip forward just a little bit, and I want to kind of get your take on just looking a little bit farther down the road. How do you see, first Settlement Streams, but then other pieces of technology evolving over the next few years to support firms who are looking to bring systems like this in-house so that they can actually grow and scale? Where do you think that innovation is actually heading?
So I see the industry moving even deeper towards integration and more predictive insights. I think the future is a seamless data flow from the moment the client signs on through the work done in a platform like Practice AI, and then all the way into a system like ours that's meant to manage the post-settlement workflow. Beyond that, we're focused at my company at leveraging the data to provide more actionable intelligence. We're all about finding ways to more accurately forecast cash flow based on your settlement pipeline. We want to provide data-driven insights into profitability based on a variety of metrics, like I talked about, attorney, referral source, case type, so the firms can make smarter decisions about resource allocation. It's all about turning data into a strategic asset that you can use for firm growth.
Yeah, I think that's just a huge piece. I know we're constantly looking at data over here just to try to get a better understanding, not only of the challenges that our clients are facing, but then also how to help provide them, just like you're saying, visibility into things which give them actionable insights. So I'm really excited about the fact that we're going to be talking in the next couple of months about the integration of our two systems, because again, we want to make it very easy for everybody who's on the PAI platform, and not only to access their case data from several major case management CRMs and to pull their medical records electronically, but then to follow that case support all the way through to where they're also then tacking into and utilizing settlement streams to manage that case and the distribution of the settlement that's coming in. We're really, really, really pumped about that. So what advice would you give to firms that are struggling here with efficiency and post-settlement work? Do you have any final thoughts that you would want to leave them with before they join our webinar, of course?
Yeah, sure. I think the advice I most often give to firms is to try to quantify the pain, right? Take a hard look at how many non-billable hours your team, from paralegals to partners, spends managing or approving distributions and chasing down commission details. Think about the strategic cost of that distraction, right? The technology to solve this exists right now. And implementing that technology is a strategic shift that allows your legal talent to focus on winning cases for clients and generating revenue for the firm. And it avoids that distraction of the administrative burdens and bottlenecks.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Where can listeners go to learn more about settlement streams in the interim? Other than our website, of course, because you can also jump right out to Settlement Streams website direct from Practice AI. But if they were more about also the company, give some direction on how they could do that for us.
Best place to start, as you mentioned, is the website, either through Practice AI or directly to settlementstreams.com. You can learn more about the platform. There's a link on the homepage to schedule a demo. There's a user guide on the support page that details all the capabilities of the platform. And I'd love to show you how it can work for your firm. So please feel free to reach out via the website or directly to me, Ben at settlementstreams.com, and I'd be happy to continue the conversation with anyone who's interested.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben, for joining us. For all of you joining us today as well, be sure to stay tuned to all of our social channels so that you can get signed up and registered. We're going to start posting about the July 23rd webinar, probably on or about somewhere between July 8th and 10th. So those posts are upcoming. Make sure you get registered, get your seat. Seats are going to go fast. I think we're all just going to be really, really, really amazed at everything that Ben is going to show us. So we really hope that you can join us on that day. So thank you, Ben. We're so happy to have you here as a guest, and we look forward to having you on again soon in another few months.
Thank you, Krista. It was great. I look forward to it as well.